Welcome to RIT Talk. We're here to raise awareness about mental health. One way of doing that is to talk about it, and that's what we're going to do. Have a great day, don't quit, and keep pushing forward. Today, we're going to talk with Orlando. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Orlando Torres. I go by Toro. I'm from the thriving metropolis of Corpus Christi, Texas, South Texas, home of Selena and Whataburger. I've been part of the Corpus Christi Fire Department now. This May will be 15 years. I'm a firefighter paramedic. Do one shift on the ambulance, one shift on the engine. Before that, I was prior military. I did 4 years active duty with 2nd Ranger Battalion. Have 5 deployments as a special operations soldier, infantry airborne ranger, reclassed to a combat medic, knocked out another 7 years, so 11 years total military. And I just kind of found my way into the Corpus Christi Fire Department. So,
okay. So what kind of drew you into becoming a firefighter?
It's something I was always interested in. Okay. I don't want to give Alan Jackson too much credit, but where were you? And when the world stopped turning, that song kind of resonated. And I was actually in college when 9/11 happened, so I remember watching it on TV. We're all surrounded by the TVs and all that stuff. And I kind of took that attack personally. Okay. I've always been one of the guys that was like, not somebody should do something and say, I'm going to do something. So, within months of that, I ended up dropping out of college and going and joining the military and went to war. So, yay. But I also remember, the other side of that coin, not necessarily the war fighters, but the helpers. And I thought that was just really, really awesome. I've always loved the idea of firefighters and police and just people that are always willing to, hey, hold my beer, get out there and actually fucking do something and go help. And I wanted to be one of those guys. So.
All right. Mm-hmm. What would you say would be one thing that will help or that could help with firefighter mental health?
Man, that is, I think there's a lot of things that could help. One, in what you're doing, obviously talking about it, getting people to actually open up and talk. I know I had some episodes from the military that kind of came clashing down on me over the past couple of years. And the whole reason for that was just packing it in, driving on, the mission, and not taking the time to actually sit down and talk about it, and have feelings, because that was kind of frowned upon in my whole job. But I think that would definitely help. Other things that could possibly help with the mental health is, number one and foremost is getting rid of lawyers. I think if we got rid of lawyers, we'd fix a lot of things in this world. Another major issue I know just with fire departments, I know and not to take away from the point or anything, is, same circus, different clowns. We hear that everywhere we go all the time, right? And I think a big thing to fix mental health is to fix the problems within departments. One, not treating every department the same, and actually bringing some autonomy and integrity to each department instead of, like, I know I have no filter. I know you probably realized that from the class we took together. What I say, what I feel. I don't sugarcoat shit, and that's the military side of me, I guess. Is especially when you have departments, and we're about to get a new chief, so we'll see what his or her mindset is towards it. But when you have chiefs that come in there and start calling people customers instead of patients, that kind of, to me, that's kind of like, okay, are we getting back to the basics of it, or the basis of why emergency medicine even exists, which is for the greater good, or are we just trying to appease people and appease a city manager that has no clue what we do, appease HR? So I think stuff like that takes a toll on the people that are actually working and doing the job and putting, the boots on the ground. Because you go through all this training and all this in day one, like when you get turned out to the fire department and as a paramedic, your idea is, I'm going to help people, I'm going to make a difference, and your first call is to a nursing home for a hospital transport. It's kind of like, well, shit. And then the next call, and then the next call, and then the next call is a doctor's office, and you're just chasing liability, chasing Medicare. So I'm not a big fan of that stuff. I realize there's a place for it and there's a need for it, but every department's different. When you're running super busy departments, running these boys and girls into the ground, and then you're making calls like that, it's just kind of deflates that balloon, and you kind of lose sight of why you're even there to begin with. So I think that plays a huge mental role on some people, especially your young, impressionable firefighters and paramedics. Um, One I'm a huge advocate for that I would love to see just across the board, to be honest with you, is, and I'm not very popular at all for this opinion. I have, every time I bring it up, some of my own firefighters want to kind of like almost get to the point where like, hey, you want to go outside? I'm like, yeah, let's go. I could use a good ass whooping. Haven't had a good ass whooping in a long time. I think that we need to get rid of 24-hour shifts. Now, I know all departments are not the same. Some people only run 2 calls a shift, 4 calls a shift. Ours, we have 3 of the busiest ambulances in the country are here in Corpus Christi. Wonder why. There's a taqueria on every corner. But that especially, that's one thing that's kind of ignored for some reason in our line of work is sleep studies, and they're very prudent, and they're there. There's a reason why pilots are regulated by the FAA and they can't fly so many hours. There's a reason why commercial drivers aren't allowed to drive so many hours. There's a reason why commercial anything, even the DoD, on the Walter Reed Army Institute research, they're coming out with all these crazy, not crazy, but much needed sleep studies. And for some reason, we just ignore all that data. We're just kind of like, oh, these guys, they can't, they're commercial, they're transporting cargo and they can't drive this much. We transport people, but yeah, I'm saying ignore that. And I know I'm not popular because there's a lot of firefighters out there that treat this like their second job. They come to the fire department they come to the house to relax and to rest. And so I'm not very popular on that opinion, but I honestly think that that would actually help, especially across the board with mental health. If we want to talk about it, let's really talk about it. There's got to be sacrifice there somewhere. If we got to do what's greater good, we're going to piss some people off, right? But sleep is the most effective thing. And I mean, there's so many authors, a couple of books that I've read about it. They all say the same thing. Sleep is the most effective thing to reset everything, our brain, our body health, everything. There's no substitute for it, and there's no catching up on it. It's a debt that will never be repaid. But for some reason we ignore it. And there's a reason why firefighters, we have extreme mental health issues, why we have extreme cancer issues. It's all there. The common denominator usually is the schedule itself. In my opinion, this is all opinionated. So
Okay.
I've had jobs that are just like lifelong sleep deprivation. So and I know when I had my little mental health issue, if you want to call it that, one of the biggest things that everyone that I had to see kept saying, "Hey, good night's sleep, 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 sleep." And you'll start noticing it on the ambulance too. Is especially like meth heads, drug addicts, people with severe mental illness. They never sleep. It's like, when's the last time you got a good night's sleep? They're like, I slept 2 hours 2 days ago. It's kind of like, okay, well, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see us as any different. And as firefighters that schedule like ours, traditional firefighter schedule, 24 on, 48 off, what do we do? What do firefighters do? Oh, I have all this time off. I'm going to go get 6 jobs. Because I want to live in $1 million house. I want my wife to have everything. And when you watch firefighters shows like in the New York firefighters, the Boston firefighters, those guys, they always show them living like in slums, because they don't live beyond their means, and that's just kind of the way it is. But now think of any firefighter who's been married for a little while. You go to their house and it's usually like close to $1 million home now. Because why? Because now they have 2 or 3 jobs, burning the candle on both ends. And that's just added stress. So I think fixing that work schedule and not really giving people time to kind of burn at both ends. I think that would help fix a lot of things, relieve a lot of stress in our lives. That's just kind of my take on it. So I hope I answered your question. Sorry, man. I've been out of my Adderall for like 2 months now. So
Yeah. No, we all have different views and different takes, and that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Just to see the different views and different takes.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to add?
Man, no, I really no. I think I pretty much hit everything on the head that I could add from that. Get rid of lawyers. Bring integrity back to the fire department. Get rid of HR. Have stop having HR people tell us what a firefighter is, even though they have no clue what we do. And just bring that integrity. Live by a creed. That's one thing I probably miss the most about the military. And I do love firemen. I know I love the idea of firefighters and what we do and who we are. They're second to none kind of thing. But there's also, there's a difference between, getting in the game and just sitting on the sideline wearing the t-shirt. So I'm all about that integrity and that character prior to walking through those doors. So I think that's something we all need to kind of take a look in the mirror and fix in ourselves, and then put the team first. Kind of, I know in our department we kind of struggle with that a little bit with the team first mentality, and I'm sure it's like that everywhere. Same circus, different clowns. But I'm probably my number one thing for even trying to scratch the surface of trying to help with the mental health topic is sleep. Is getting rid of that 24-hour shifts. There's no place for that, in my opinion, anywhere anymore. Now, again, there are some departments that can get away with that because they make like 2 calls a month. I get it.
Yeah.
But for your busy metropolitan, bigger city departments that are running just putting 150 miles a day on your trucks, there should be absolutely no need for a 24-hour shift. That's just ridiculous. I would never trust a pilot, showing up to fly my plane with sleep in his eyes. I would damn sure wouldn't trust somebody wiping that sleep out of their eyes or just yawning every 2 seconds to perform CPR on my parents. So I think that's something that we really need to have a really huge discussion about, and fix down the road. I know it's never going to, because that costs a lot of money, but that it's wishful thinking on my part.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, brother. I appreciate you, man. Anything you need, let me know.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Uh-oh.
Mm-mm.
God, are you kidding me?
Uh-oh. Didn't record any of that, did you?
Hold on one